Hello everyone, I thought it was high time I made another video. I know, I should have made many videos by now, but I have an excuse. Yeah, I have a good excuse. I haven't made any videos for quite some time, not because I didn't want to, but because my computer crashed and died. One morning I went to turn it on and dead as a doornail. Everything gone. So that's the reason I've not been able to make videos. I've had no video editing software or anything. I've tried to get a new computer, but in these times it's more difficult to get the computer that I wanted. I had to wait 8 weeks for the delivery. So that's why there hasn't been any updates on my channel.
Right, I've had enough.
Hi everybody, welcome to my art channel. It's great to be back online and able to give you a bit of an update as to what's been going on in my studio. And I just wanted to tell you a little bit about what I've been doing for these past 8 weeks. Well, as we know, I did the tiger in the long grass, that went to Vienna. I did the leopard portrait, and that went to a collector in the UK. Now, I filmed quite a bit of that before my computer crashed, so hopefully I'm going to edit that together and do something for you about the making of that one. So do let me know if you think that would be something that you would be interested in seeing.
So having done the leopard portrait, which was relatively simple, I decided I wanted to do something a lot more complex. And it had been a while since I'd painted the jungle. Now I've been out to the jungles in Asia and seen all these beautiful trees that they have and all these branches everywhere. So I was just having quite a bit of free expressive fun here. I'm just designing this top area of the picture. I always go very lightly, just planning things out. I don't go in heavy with the pastel. It's just a light skimming over, just to make sure that I'm happy with the composition of things. I wanted the two sort of main tree branches to be sort of pointing downwards to the main subject, which is the tiger, and also those bright leaves at the top. You notice I did them in a very light pastel first, and I've kept it that way. I've been very careful just to darken around there because I wanted those leaves to look very, very nice and bright against that darker backdrop of the jungle. You can now see that I've moved down to the main subject, the tiger itself. Now I did this fur with a very, very light base coat using a unison pastel, that sort of deeper orange colour, and then I used pencils such as Caran d'Ache just to pick out suggestions of the fur as we moved along. Now I worked from left to right, just gradually brought the detail right across the body of the tiger, refining everything as I went, making sure that he looked nice, his colours were nice, he looked nice and bold. But I was careful not to make the stripes black. They're more of a purple sort of shade to them. Looks much more attractive in the painting. I also used this purple shade in a lot of the jungle at the back. You may notice if you look in the shadows, I've skimmed over a lot of purpley tone in there, and the pencil I used was the Stabilo Carbothello. I even used a lot of that in the shadows of the water. Having done the main subject, I moved down to the water. That was probably the most technically challenging part. Here we see the finished painting. The highlights are done with the unison white. I wanted those to be nice and bright over on the right hand side of the water. Some of the bubbles and little things, I sharpened the unison just to get that really punchy white. Also on the fur on the side of the tiger's face, I just finished that with it was either a unison white or a Faber-Castell white, just to make those particular highlights stand out. I did the same thing with those brighter leaves at the top of the painting. I went first in with a white and then I skimmed over some transparent greens just to give it that luminosity that I wanted. Light is everything to me when I'm painting, so I turned to soft pastels towards the end. You might notice along the tiger's back there it goes to a bright sort of yellow glow, and that was a soft unison pastel that did that. And so after I'd finished painting the jungle, I returned to a favourite theme of mine, painting the Apollo astronauts. And I wanted to do, because I'd never done it before, I wanted to do a portrait of a great hero of mine, Neil Armstrong. So here you can see it just starts off like all my paintings do, very light, very sketchy. You see, if you make mistakes early on and you've done the pencil work very lightly, it doesn't matter, you can go over it or you can remove it very easily. And so I started laying down the first fine layers of pastel. Here you can see that I've experimented a little bit with the tones on the ear, and I've started to feel my way into the three-dimensional form of the face. I'm paying particular attention to where the highlights are in the skin and where the shadows are, and all the time trying to preserve a good likeness, because of course the likeness is paramount in a portrait like this. You might notice that I'm using a little piece of glassine paper that protects the surface from my hand rubbing against it. And of course I'm working on a metal board, so those magnets hold everything on. You can see here that I've added those highlights to the face. It looks a little bit stark at the moment, but there'll be another layer of colour and richness that goes in that will smooth everything out there. I've experimented with the colours. I want to get this good and bold, and in the background I wanted to do a beautiful big moon. The initial idea was to do the moon sort of quite a bluish shade, but as the painting progressed that kind of went out the window a little bit and it got sort of greyer and greyer. I think that suited the picture better, especially when the background went in. Now, although it's space, I've not done it black. It's actually a very, very deep navy blue grey, that colour. I just thought it was more harmonious to the tones of the picture. Now you can see I've started to put the hair in. There's a lot more detail gone in on the face. The skin tones are coming together nicely. And once I was happy with that, I moved further down the painting to tackle the spacesuit. Now, doing something that's pure white in pastel is fraught with danger because it's a colour that's very easily polluted. So I left that bit to the end. Now here we see the finished painting. If you look just to the right on the moon, just to the right of Neil Armstrong's ear, you'll see that I put a little boot print there, signifying the exact place where he made his historic first step onto the lunar surface. That boot print in this painting is a symbol of intent, because this is Neil Armstrong on the 16th of July 1969, when he was suiting up and about to embark on that most historic mission.
After the computer crashed, I didn't have any means of editing any videos, so I decided to just take the time to do something completely different, and I went back to oil painting. But what I discovered, I love oil painting, I really do, but what I discovered was these solvents, the smell of the solvents just gives me migraines. And it was getting really bad. I was getting headaches. This studio that I'm in is quite a small space actually, and the fumes just built up, give me headaches. So what I did, I started researching into a way of using oil paints that's completely non-toxic, no solvents whatsoever. You know, there are a lot of these solvent products on the market, odourless spirits and that sort of thing, but even those, they still give off fumes, and if you're sensitive to them, like I am, it can make the experience of oil painting a very miserable one. So I decided to go a completely non-toxic route. And what I found was that you can actually use the oil paints perfectly well using just walnut oil, refined walnut oil. Now I got this from michaelharding.co.uk, and I think it's a fantastic product. It's a very thin oil, so it's almost like a thinner, but it's got that nice oily feel to it, and I was able to do almost my old technique with oils, because I used to use a lot of thinner, you see, but that's out the window now. So
what I did was I went up into my attic and found a very old painting that I'd started many years ago and that I'd never actually got round to finishing. And I thought it would be a good one to just experiment with these new techniques on. And so that's what I did. I just used exclusively walnut oil and worked out a new set of techniques that would give me the type of realism that I'm used to from my oil paints. So there you have it, the first and the last men to walk on the moon.
And then after that, I decided to go back to pastels. My computer still wasn't ready, so I wasn't filming anything. Unfortunately, I wasn't filming anything because this would have been quite a nice one to have filmed. A white lion. I wanted to do a nice, you know, I've always painted wild animals, and I've always sort of turned my nose up at zoo animals, really. But I think that's not fair in a way, and I thought it'd be nice to concentrate for once on a painting of a zoo animal, because I think there's great sort of pathos, and you feel sort of empathy for a magnificent creature like a lion, who's living his whole life confined within a zoo. So I wanted to put a bit of my feeling about that kind of thing in this painting, and paint this white lion who, despite his captivity and despite everything that's happened to him, he still remains this noble, unbroken spirit, and that's what I wanted to capture with this painting. And I was actually quite pleased. It only took me about 3 to 4 days, possibly 5 at the most, but it was a fairly quick picture, and yeah, I'm quite happy with that one. Then I went to Switzerland and did some teaching.
It's always such a pleasure to go and teach in Switzerland. I'm so proud of the students. I mean, just look at the quality of the work that they're producing now. They're always very enthusiastic, and time again they shock me with the quality of work that they can produce. Yep, it was a fantastic couple of courses, and now I'm back in the UK. I'm actually in quarantine for 14 days. But looking forward to my next project, which is going to be a Black Panther. I thought it would be nice to demonstrate some black fur. I thought that would be a good one. So that's all I've got time for this particular episode. But please like and subscribe if you've liked the video, and I look forward to seeing you next time.